about to be on my P's and Q's because it just got real in here.
Yeah, we got Coach Bret Bielema in here for Arkansas head coach, and Coach Justin Fuente, Virginia Tech head coach, getting ready for the Belk Bowl, which is going to take place here December 29th at 5:30. Coaches, thanks for joining us. How are you guys?
Thank you. Great to be here.
Very well, thank you.
It's good to see you both in the same room. Everybody's being nice today. No problem so far. I know you guys are.
Who has the bigger ring? Let me see these things.
Yeah. You know,
It's my first year.
Oh, sorry, I saw the ring over here. I expected, I know that, Coach over here. Every coach sports their stuff, their trophies.
you know what? This is actually from my first bowl ring at Arkansas, so it's really the only one sentimental value. So that's the only one I wear.
Coaches, we talk about this all the time about how important. Bowl games obviously are important. There's enough of them. What are there, 42, 41 bowl games now? So there's enough of them to talk about. But I know for you two coaches and for any coach, perhaps as important, if not important, more important than the game itself are the extra practices that you get with these bowl games. Just how advantageous are these extra practices you guys get as you not only want to end this year on a good note, but look forward to spring ball coming up in 17?
Yeah, well, it's huge, and I'm sure people do it different ways, but we divide up a little bit of practice. We'll work some of our older guys, trying to get them ready to play in the game for Arkansas prep, and then we'll segment time out and just work with the younger guys in terms of their skill development. Guys that have been running basically plays off of cards for 6 months now get back into our terminology and run our offense or our defense, and then we'll even put the ball down and let them go wrestle around a little bit and scrimmage a little bit just to get the young guys out there back rocking and rolling.
I think one thing that has really been a game changer the last several years for me coming to Arkansas, we probably will have about 10 kids that join us in midterm, so we'll actually have high school players that take their last final here in the next week, and then they'll jump in the car and they'll probably get 4 or 5 practices with us early at the University of Arkansas, which I think just blows my mind that a high school kid's going to be involved in bowl prep. But that's another little feature. We do the same things that Coach mentioned. We'll do a lot of good on good, just try to do speed of the game. We'll do our obviously our fair share of preparation for Virginia Tech, and then we'll do a lot of young kids, and the best part is probably just seeing those young kids play football again.
Is that the biggest thing you guys are looking to get out of this? I know, coaching high school football here locally, playing in these playoff games, and we have 5 of them, believe it or not, to win a state championship here. We get a chance to develop some of our younger talent, and we see some of the freshmen coming up, and we see some of those sophomores, and we really kind of get a peek on what we're going to have, going into that next season. Is that the thing that you guys are trying to really emphasize with that, or is it, get an opportunity to recruit and, maybe do some other things as well?
I think the biggest thing, is you get those younger players, it helps you in the final stages. We don't have a lot of scholarships left, but if you go into that last month of January, you'll have an understanding of maybe, hey, I need to get one more guy at this spot. I needed to maybe look at a junior college player. We need to, have something answered. So it does give you a better feel how to fill out the rest of your roster and kind of manage it moving forward.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You get a chance to kind of see what you have. Recruiting gets earlier and earlier and earlier, and it's harder and harder to evaluate what your true needs are when you haven't seen either the guys that are committed to you, they're not on your campus yet, or the guys that you have that have signed and are freshmen, have been, redshirting. So it gives you a chance to just get a little glimpse of what they can and can't do, and maybe gives you a little kickstart heading into the spring.
We're speaking with head coach Justin Fuente, Virginia Tech Hokies, and head coach Bret Bielema, Arkansas Razorbacks, join us here on Bustin' Loose.
Justin, when you took the Virginia Tech job, obviously you followed a legend in Frank Beamer. And we always, people on the outside always talk about, do you want to be the guy that follows the guy? What has that been like after 1 year? You're about to complete your first year. How involved has Coach Beamer, have you leaned on him at all? But what's that been like to follow a guy like Frank Beamer?
Well, that is the general rule, is that you never want to be the guy that follows the guy, but the exception of that rule is Coach Beamer. When he has gone out of his way to not look over our shoulder or judge what we're doing. We've gone out of our way to make him feel welcome at our, at the place that he essentially built anytime. And it's been a really good balance. I mean, he's been incredibly supportive of us, and we look at it as an opportunity to build on the things that he did. Virginia Tech and Blacksburg is a tight-knit community. I mean, Coach Beamer and I live in the same neighborhood. my kids trick or treat at his house on Halloween.
Does he give away the big candy?
Yeah, he gives a good candy bar.
Making sure he hadn't got cheap.
It's just, it's been a really smooth transition, and the person that deserves the credit for that is Coach Beamer.
Coach Bielema, obviously coming from the Big Ten to the SEC is a style change, right? You look at maybe the way that the Big Ten has adapted and adjusted. Maybe the SEC is starting to open it up, the offenses a little bit more. Do you have to adjust your philosophy, moving from one conference to the next? I know the Pac-12, you're playing against teams that are going to be fast and wide open offenses, so you have to get defensive players to cover some of those guys. You can't have big guys up front that can't run. You got to have guys that are going to be able to cover and maybe adjust your philosophy a little bit.
Yeah, I think you definitely adjust it. You don't necessarily change it. I played and worked for a guy that always used to say, "Don't flinch." And the biggest thing you have to do is, especially my first year, we didn't win an SEC game. You have to make some adjustments, just like right now. Going into this bowl game, I know defensively we'll make some changes, but in the big picture, we're going to have to do some things to adjust to where the league is evolving to. At least to be a little bit different, but it's still football. Teams want to run the football. There are a few teams in our league that really spread it out and try to throw it around, but for the most part, everybody starts with running the football. No matter how they line up, you just can't let them run it at will. You got to be able to make them try to play a little bit left-handed and adjust. But I think as we start to build our roster too, our way of doing things offensively was totally different from what they believed in before I got here. So it's been a little bit of an evolution just to change the roster from a 280-pound tackle to a 330-pound tackle. Doesn't happen overnight, So there's a little bit of that. Our center play, as you know, is critical to offensive success, and it's taken a while for our guys to. I do believe we have a junior center that might be one of the better ones in the country. And,
Frank Ragnar, right?
Yeah, he's a good player, and he kind of makes the motor go, So it's been fun to see that evolution take place.
Since you got there, have you lobbied to get put into the SEC East?
I understand where you're coming from, but
that is a bear to deal with, isn't it?
It is. We always joke that the SEC West is its own unique animal. We cannibalize each other quite a bit. I think we have some good football teams, and when good football teams play every week against one another, I think I made a reference that we had played, I believe, 14 or 15 straight ranked opponents in the SEC West alone. So it's tough, but it's what you signed up for. It's part of the reason I came there, because you want to be able to do something that's never been done before.
We're all prideful and competitive. As athletes, young guys, you don't recruit guys that aren't. You guys just recruit guys that are trying to make it to the next level, and because of that, it's maybe a little bit easier to motivate than some people think. But a lot of people ask this question all the time: what are you playing for? When you look at going to, the Belk Bowl, and it's a great bowl, it's a great atmosphere, and it's it's going to be a great crowd over here. You guys travel, both of you, very well, and but what are you playing for? Because I think that's the biggest question that we get all the time. You played against two teams that are competing for a national champion. It's easy to motivate those guys, those 19, 20-year-old men. But when you're just playing for pride, what's the thing that you use to motivate your team?
Well, for us, it's pretty simple. To me, the difference between 9 and 10 is a lot bigger than just one. That's a double-digit win season. To me, that's Virginia Tech football in the past. It was almost a given that they were going to get to that 10-win plateau. We have a great group of seniors that our kids really enjoy playing with, and we want to send them out the right way. So for many of our guys, it'll be the last time they get to don the VT, and there's a lot of pride in that. And obviously we're playing a fantastic opponent. We want to kickstart our spring semester. So I know between the opponent that we're playing and their talent level and the internal motivation that we have, I think we'll have a great preparation moment.
I could agree with Coach Moore. I think to have a name brand like Virginia Tech really does a lot for your players to motivate them, and obviously they saw them go toe-to-toe with Clemson, so that kind of takes care of itself. Unfortunately, we're not at the level to, we're at 7 wins, so if they get 1, we're only going to 8. I appreciate what Coach is saying about 10, but I don't think they're going to let us count it 3 times, so although it would be worth that. Yeah. I think just to keep your, one thing I go back to when you're a young coach, Coach Fry always used to say, you recruit your own problems. And when you recruit kids in a way that they really truly just appreciate the opportunity to play one more game, that's what hopefully is, in a sense, everything you need, and to play and to be able to win versus lose is everything for a competitive kid.
What's the hardest thing in today's college? You're looking at these, millennials, these entitled kids coming up, and everybody's telling them how great they are, and you know, as coaches, a lot of times you're sitting there saying, hey, listen, I'm going to knock you down a peg or two,
Yeah.
if not more. And we got to motivate you a little differently because we have a standard that we're trying to commit to here. And obviously that's being excellent and going out there and teaching these young kids new lessons. How important is that for you and, you know, recruiting these kids?
Well, it is. I think we as coaches probably all enjoy the recruiting process, but there's this phase called de-recruitment. Once they come on campus, that's sometimes very enjoyable as well. And, you know, just, hey, I remember when you made me stand outside your home for an hour, you know, and kind of have some fun with it. But again, I think, and just know Coach a little bit, I think we both do appreciate good people and good kids, and I never want to sell my soul to get one more guy that can hopefully win a game. You know, I'm never going to sacrifice anything to try and do things the right way with our kids, and I think in the long run that does pay off and hopefully pays dividends down the stretch.
You know, Coach, I went to University of Washington. I got recruited there. You know, quick story. And I had my name up on the board, and, you know, the boats were there. And as soon as I come there, you know, all of a sudden it was shiny, it was clear, it was a great day. And all of a sudden I get there, and it was raining. Coaches forgot my name, didn't know who I was. I was just a number, fat little kid. That's, you know, all I heard. So I always wondered, you know, what coaches, you know, and how they motivate these kids. But what's your biggest challenge in recruiting, Coach?
Well, the biggest thing for us, and I agree with everything Coach is saying, is I believe that kids want to be disciplined. I believe they want to do well. I believe they want to succeed. I don't subscribe to the notion that kids are a whole lot different than they used to be, other than the fact that there's a lot more external factors that are that can reach your kids now, and those external factors are not usually based in reality. And to me, that's the constant battle as the head coach, is continuing to try to minimize those, but also acknowledge that you can't eliminate them, and then continue to preach your message of what actually does allow for you to have success in terms of hard work and selflessness and team orientation, all those sorts of things, as opposed to them being bombarded constantly with things that are not based in fact.
I think the biggest thing is social media. It's obviously changed our culture, but in recruiting, it is you know, I always remember Coach Paterno always used to talk about the social mafia. You know, they were a group of people that were never held accountable to anything, and there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, people can say and do and say anything in that world and not be held to accountability, and that gets very frustrating and sometimes misleading.
It's almost an alternate reality.
Yeah.
You know, like that cell phone is like it's just not based in fact a lot. It's based in some ranking or some opinion.
Yeah.
Now, Justin, I didn't know if you know this, but you're in the midst of a big reality TV star over there. Bret Bielema is being Bret Bielema show. Season 1, I watched. Very impressed. I just want to know, is there going to be a season 2?
There has been discussion. I think a little bit depends if how we finish here. I think I think people enjoyed me, but I think it was my wife.
Yes.
Yeah. That's when people realized I could recruit.
That's the very first step of that, right? You know, guys, obviously, you know, you guys know each other's game plans very well. I mean, you know what they're going to do. They know what you're going to do. What's your trick play? I mean, you got to have some little wrinkle that you're throwing in. You willing to share?
You want
that?
me to tell you?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think we
Right
should
here
share
for
it.
it. Yeah, let's share this right now.
It's Share Monday or
Yeah.
Share Tuesday.
We may have to do something, I can tell you that.
So
much.
here's your opportunity to go out there and throw something that you have no plan on doing and make them prepare for another
There we
weekend.
go.
That's
Yeah,
the,
throw
that's
them
the,
off.
yeah, throw them off, right? Yeah.
Quickly, put your analyst hat on. Brett, obviously you guys played Alabama. Justin, you guys played Clemson. These two matchups that those two teams are going to have in the playoffs. Justin will give you a quick overview of Clemson and Ohio State, and then Coach, I'll ask you about Alabama, Washington.
Well, the thing that sticks out most, you know, when you get to that level, everybody's got good players. To me, it comes down to quarterback play, and you know, Deshaun Watson is pretty fantastic. And I'm certainly not making a prediction or
Sure.
anything other than that. I just know that both of those programs are loaded with potential or future NFL players. They're both well coached. They've got great schemes. But Deshaun Watson's pretty special.
Coach, what advice do you give Frank's Huskies against the Tide?
Well, first, you know, I think the one thing they're going to hear all along is they don't have a chance.
Yeah.
It's not going to be about Bama, Bama, Bama. But I know this. Bama probably, in my 4 years in the league, probably has as good a football team as they've had since I've been there. Their defense, their linebacker play is exceptional. Obviously, a freshman quarterback who's been really, really special. But when you're a team like Washington, you know, and Coach Pete's done an unbelievable job getting those guys week in. I know they had one setback, but there seemed to be a team of destiny. So I think it all gets down to who can handle now you got Lane, going to FAU, and it's going to be about the team that probably has the least amount of distractions and who can play well on the lineup and play day that they got coming.
Yeah, Coach asked me to go into the locker room before halftime and steal their playbook, kind of like similar to the New England Patriots did. You think that might be our best chance? Coach Peterson actually asked me to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah.
So that might be our best chance.
You're shocked,
yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys' time. Enjoy your bowl game here and enjoy Charlotte. We look forward to
hopefully
watching
the weather's
you guys,
a little bit better than it is today.
on December 29th at 5:30. Thanks for joining us.
Guys.